I now have the honor of presenting to you your choice of commencement speaker, and it's a terrific opportunity for all of us to welcome him here. I'm not going to give a huge introduction, except to say that we both spent a lot of time in the state of Arizona, and that his son is actually now in Congress as a representative of a district in that state. He's the former Vice President of the United States. He is the chairman of Cerberus Global Investments, which has offices all over the world. His political career includes election to Congress in 1976, the Senate in 1980. He was Vice President of the United States at age 41. He, of course, is a lawyer. He earned his degree, his undergraduate degree at DePauw, and his degree that you're earning today from Indiana University School of Law. It is really an honor and a privilege to present the commencement speaker for 2012, Dan Quayle.
You have to lift it up.
Let me take care of this.
That's good, thank you. Thank you very much, Dean Artarian and Chairman Thompson, Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, parents, friends, and especially graduates of the class 2012. I really appreciate the welcome. I'm delighted to be here, but this is your day. This is your very special day, and you earned it by diligence and hard work, and on behalf of everyone in this audience, I congratulate you on a job well done. Now, it's an honor to be your guest this afternoon, and frankly, this is my kind of assignment. Because when you're the commencement speaker, you get a seat on the platform, a very generous introduction, first-class treatment all the way. And for that, you only have to get up and say a few words that people won't remember anyway. It's just like being vice president. A wise Senate colleague of mine said this about commencement speeches: be brief, be bright, and be gone. This is my first time here, and there are a few things that always come to mind when I hear about Syracuse University. For one thing, I think of my friend and former Senate colleague, Joe Biden, who got his law degree here in 1968 and has done a lot to make the College of Law proud. Joe was also the commencement speaker a few years ago, I believe. So the spirit of bipartisanship is alive and well at Syracuse. I only wish we could ship a little bit of that spirit of bipartisanship to our nation's capital today. Being at Syracuse also makes me think of my son, Ben, that the dean referred to, who is now a member of Congress, and he played lacrosse at Duke. He wouldn't particularly like that little corner emblem up there with the lacrosse national champions. I got to tell you, when he played the orange, they got trounced. They lost about every time they played. And understandably, Ben's, well, he's not real high on Syracuse. So when I told him that I was going to be the graduation speaker here, all he could say was, "Good, perfect revenge." Mostly what I hear about Syracuse these days is from my good friend and 13-year Cerberus partner, Mark Neprin, who's one of your new trustees. Mark got his JD here and played a big part in the university's very successful capital campaign. Now, up to now, you graduates might not have heard much about university fundraising, but I promise you, that's all about to change. Let's just say wherever you go, your beloved alma mater will never lose track of you. Of course, a lot of things are about to change for you. Anyone receiving a degree in America today is entitled to ask, what kind of world are we entering? Take almost any major trend unfolding today, whether it's our own country's slow economy and accelerating debt, or the shifting fortunes of nations in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, and one way or another, it will affect your lives. So today, let's focus on things that are fixed, tangible, certain, and valuable in any place and time. And one of those things is an education in the law. Whatever the years bring for you or for our country, what you have earned today is what the accountants call a non-depreciating asset. It didn't come easy, that's for sure. I finished law school long ago, and I still look back on it as one of the toughest, most rewarding experiences I've ever had. I wasn't exactly the best student, but I managed to find the best student in the whole law school, and I married her. Nate, are you listening?
Yes.
Yes. Not everybody has that kind of luck, but anyone who studies the law and earns a JD can take special pride in the achievement. You pursued your law degree to gain a place in one of the great vocations. And now you're there. Well, almost there. You still got that bar exam, but let's not talk about that today, but just get ready. I talked to a number of students earlier. I think you're already preparing for that. The degree you've just earned doesn't limit your options. It expands them. So ask yourself, what do you really want to do? Do you like a tough fight? Then become a litigator. Do you have a mind for complex issues like securities? Maybe become a corporate advisor. Do you like to write or teach? Become a scholar. If you're interested in social issues or the environment, there are many options. Do you have a cause or principles that need strong advocates? Then go into public service, go into politics, where there's always a place for new energy and strong beliefs. It's amazing how many people with JDs end up choosing a different line of work. Right now, among the S&P 500 companies, 15% of the CEOs have law degrees. Over my years in government and business, I've met many fine men and women who studied law and then moved on to something else. And no matter where their careers led, I've never heard one express any doubt about what their law school gave to them. A few years ago, after getting my JD, I moved back to town of Huntington, Indiana. My wife and I and our one child that we had at the time, and a few months later, I decided to run for Congress. And I'll never forget this. My wife and I practiced a little law, but I was mainly the publisher of the small newspaper. And I was out campaigning one day. This elderly gentleman, he came up to me and said, "Son," he was probably about my age now, and I was 29 at the time, but I looked like I might have been 22. I got carded. He said, "Son," he says, "you know, I was going to vote for you for Congress until I found out that you were a lawyer." I said, "I do practice a little law. I am a lawyer, but that's not my main business." He said, "Well, what is it?" And he smiled and everything. I said, "Well, I'm a newspaper publisher." Put his head down. He said, "Heck, that's worse." I don't think I got his vote. As it turned out, I did win that race, and the election to Congress put me in the company of a lot of lawyers. At the time, about 2/3 of the House and Senate consisted of lawyers, and it's probably about the same today. Thomas Jefferson said his years in the law trained him to think and make decisions, and that made him a better president. Tony La Russa, the baseball player and manager, he's also a lawyer, and he said this: "Law school didn't teach me how to hit the ball or how to run or pitch. But because of law school, I see the game playing out in front of me on the field in a very different way. My legal training taught me to put myself in our opponent's dugout. Law school taught me how to study, how to think, and how to develop and implement a strategy." The best kind of legal education instills all those qualities in a person. It leaves a lasting mark and defines a certain standard you'll always be expected to meet. Though lawyers are trained to litigate, it never hurts to recall that litigation is rarely a good or desirable thing. The general idea is to keep lawsuits at a minimum, as the wisest lawyers have always counseled. Abraham Lincoln, a self-taught lawyer, handled a lot of cases in his day. "Discourage litigation," he wrote. "Persuade your neighbors to compromise whenever you can. The final winner is often a loser in fees, expenses, and waste of time. The attorney," to paraphrase Lincoln, "has a superior opportunity to be a peacemaker and a good person." At times, the peacemakers in our legal culture can be maybe hard to find. Often it's a scene of constant conflict and, quite frankly, a lot of needless litigation. But here's an interesting fact for you. For all the suing and countersuing, more than 90% of the lawsuits are settled before trial. So the question is, why didn't compromise come earlier, before all the pleadings, depositions, motions, costs, and personal grief? Back when I was vice president, I spoke often of the cost of litigation. I'd like to say things have vastly improved in the last 20 years, but I'm not sure that's the case. Today, many say, and I tend to agree with this, that we do have a tort crisis in our country. None of us need to be reminded that where there's a wrong, there should be a remedy, and lawsuits are necessary. But we all know there's an underside to the litigation culture. For fear of litigation, a doctor may be unwilling or very reluctant to perform a high-risk surgery. Parts of our country, state of Indiana, especially rural areas, probably here in New York as well, doctors can be hard to find because their practice can no longer sustain their malpractice insurance premiums. Then there are all the class action lawsuits in which supposedly aggrieved plaintiffs get a few dollars or maybe a coupon, and plaintiffs' lawyers walk off with millions. I'm sure they feel smart for working the system like that, but is it right and is it fair? I'll leave that to others. But we do need, without reform, the litigation culture, in my view, will only get worse at the expense of jobs, innovation, opportunity in this country. And whatever civic-minded words they might use to justify their conduct, tort lawyers who operate by harassment and profiteering are not serving anyone but themselves. Perhaps a more appropriate word would be greed. Now, you will be making career choices. As you approach these decisions, do it with candor, honor, diligence, and where you have passion. The right choices aren't always the most lucrative, but they will always give you greater satisfaction in what you do and who you are. In my experience, there are few sights more impressive than a really first-rate, capable, conscientious lawyer. It's not just what they think, it's how they think. It's not just that they're clever and astute, it's that they're wise and fair-minded. In your own careers, you'll find more than a few attorneys who fit that description. When you encounter them, you will know instantly that that's the kind of lawyer you want to be. Yes, it's a high bar, but you'll be ready to clear it, thanks to the years at Syracuse University College of Law. You are well prepared for great and fulfilling careers. It starts today, and I wish you all the best. Thank you, good luck, and now go make us all proud. Thank you very much.